Hey there, EDU216. Now that we've laid the groundwork for our course, it's time to begin our first content unit on history, one that's going to trace the evolution of American education from its earliest roots all the way up into the system that we know today. We're going to start with the colonial period where education was very different. It was informal, it was deeply tied to religion, and it was shaped by regional differences across this country. In New England, for example, those Puritan values led to early public education laws. And in contrast, in the Southern colonies, we offered limited access, especially for enslaved and marginalized groups. Education was very different from one end of our country to the next. From there, we're going to move through some major historical shifts, like looking at the Common School movement and the rise of public education as a whole, how the impacts of immigration or industrialization, even urbanization in the 19th and the early 20th centuries impacted our schools and what we know of education. We'll also explore how those landmark moments like the Brown versus Board of Education and civil rights movements, federal legislation such as No Child Left Behind have shaped the structure and the laws, the priorities, the equity of our modern schooling today. All of these things have had a significant impact. Throughout this module, I hope that you'll notice how education actually reflects our culture through social and political and economic forces, and how those debates about who gets to learn, what they get to learn, and how schools should generally function are deeply rooted in our history. These are not new conversations and debates that we hear about today. Rather, they've been going on for a long time throughout our history. And by the end of this module, my hope for you is that you're going to have a stronger understanding of how our past decisions and the movements of our history continue to shape our classrooms. Why does it matter that we know the history? Why does knowing the history for anyone working around education matter? I hope you'll be able to answer these questions at the end of our module this week. Now let's begin our journey with the colonial period, watching a few short clips as we envision what life might have been like in a classroom years ago. I hope you'll jump into this week's learning content, and as you work through the learning on your own, if you have any challenges, if you have any questions or wonderings, I hope that you know my virtual office doors are open, and I look forward to having those conversations with each and every one of you. Please reach out if there's anything I can do to support your learning. Have a great week, everyone.